The silent vanguard. The celebration lights of Capital World glittered across its night side like a million jewels cast against black velvet. From orbit, Admiral Trull Curvaneth watched the spectacle with mandibles curved in what his species considered a smile. 300 cycles of war had finally concluded with the Hylian Concord's complete victory over the last holdout systems in the outer reach. "Quite the view, isn't it?" came a silken voice behind him. Trell turned to face High Chancellor Mara, her translucent skin pulsing with the blue bioluminescence typical of the aquilary species. As the political head of the Concord, her presence on the flagship was unusual. "Indeed, Chancellor. The first true peace in many generations. Peace achieved through strength," she replied, gliding forward to join him at the viewport. "With the subjugation of the Varu Collective, there remains no force in known space capable of challenging Concord authority." Trell's inner eyelids flickered, an involuntary response to discomfort. Even in victory, he disliked the Chancellor's bluntness about subjugation. He preferred to think of their expansion as bringing stability to chaotic systems. "The integration fleets report all resistance has ceased," he confirmed. "The Galactic Congress convenes tomorrow to formally recognize the new territories." Mara's skin briefly flashed a pattern that indicated satisfaction. "Excellent. Your service will be commemorated at the—" A sharp tone interrupted her. Trell's communication implant vibrated against his skull. "Admiral," came the urgent voice of his sensor officer. "We've detected anomalous signals from the Perseus Void. Multiple signatures, unknown configuration." Trell exchanged glances with the Chancellor. The Perseus Void was a vast region of seemingly empty space that the Concord had long avoided, not for strategic reasons, but simply because there was nothing of value there. No habitable worlds, minimal resources, dangerous radiation belts. "Pirates, perhaps," suggested Mara. "Negative, Chancellor," the officer responded. "These signatures exceed any known vessel class in our database. Energy outputs are unprecedented." Trell felt a cold sensation crawl down his dorsal ridge. "Show me." The viewport transformed into a tactical display. A cluster of red indicators moved in perfect formation, emerging from what appeared to be a spatial anomaly within the void. The energy readings were unlike anything he had encountered in 3 centuries of service. "How many vessels?" he demanded. "Initial count places them at 73 capital-class ships, Admiral. And they're heading directly for Capital World." Chancellor Mara's skin paled to a ghostly white. "Open diplomatic channels." "We've tried, Chancellor. They're not responding to standard protocols." Trell straightened to his full height. "Deploy the home fleet in defensive formation. Alert all military installations in the system. Whoever they are, they will learn the Concord is not easily threatened." Commander Nira de Lash strode through the gleaming corridors of the Capital World Council Tower, her ceremonial armor polished to a mirror shine for today's victory celebration. As head of the Concord's intelligence division, she rarely appeared at public functions, but today's events were too significant to miss. As she approached the Grand Hall, an urgent ping on her secure channel stopped her mid-step. "Speak," she commanded, stepping aside into an alcove. "Commander," came the hushed voice of her chief analyst. "We've identified the unknown vessels. And the configuration markers match historical records from Earth." Nira froze. "That's impossible. Earth was destroyed over 700 cycles ago." "The records indicate a 98.7% match, Commander. And there's more. We've detected quantum temporal distortion around the fleet consistent with theories about dimensional suspension." She lowered her voice. "Are you suggesting they've been in some form of stasis all this time?" "It appears they never left, Commander. They simply stepped sideways." Nira's mind raced. Earth was little more than a historical footnote now, a primitive planet that had shown surprising ingenuity before being sacrificed in the early expansion wars. Official records claimed it had been destroyed when its sun unexpectedly went nova, though even as an intelligence officer, Nira had always found the details suspiciously sparse. Forward all data to my personal terminal, and speak of this to no one else. As she continued to the celebration, Nira's thoughts whirled with implications. If Earth had somehow survived, preserved itself outside normal space all these centuries, what did that mean for the carefully constructed narrative of Concord history? The Grand Hall was packed with dignitaries from 100 worlds, all members of the Concord, whether by choice or conquest. Subtle distinctions in attire and adornment revealed the hierarchy. The founding species wore the platinum insignia of the inner circle, while newer additions displayed silver or bronze markers of their status. Chancellor Mara stood at the center of it all, her luminous form drawing all eyes. Yet Nira immediately noted the tension in her posture, the too rapid pulsing of her light patterns. Fellow citizens of the greatest civilization ever to grace our galaxy, Mara began, her amplified voice echoing through the hall. Today marks the final unification of all sentient species under the benevolent guidance of the Concord. For the first time in recorded history, war is but a memory. The assembly erupted in obligatory applause. Nira scanned the faces of the inner circle representatives, noticing their subtle glances toward communication devices. This peace, forged through persistence and strength, will usher in a new era of prosperity for all. The Chancellor's words cut off as every screen in the hall suddenly flickered and went dark. A murmur of confusion spread through the crowd as the lights dimmed. When the screens reactivated, they showed a single image: a blue-green planet orbiting a yellow star. Earth. A voice spoke, clear, calm, and terrifyingly human. People of the Hellion Concord, you celebrate peace while standing on the graves of those you've silenced. You proclaim unity while practicing subjugation. You speak of prosperity while hoarding resources. The hall had gone completely silent. We are Earth. We did not perish. We watched. We remembered. And now, we have returned. The image shifted to show a vast armada of ships unlike any in the Concord fleet. Dark, angular vessels with pulsing blue energy signatures along their hulls. For 700 years, we have observed your expansion, your methods, your lies. We have collected evidence of the atrocities committed in the name of peace. We have witnessed the extinction of 37 sentient species who refused your terms. Chancellor Mara had gone completely pale, her bioluminescence nearly extinguished. She gestured frantically to security personnel who scrambled to terminate the broadcast. Without success. We offer this one chance for peaceful resolution. The Concord leadership will acknowledge its crimes. You will grant independence to any world that seeks it. You will establish reparations for the harm you have caused. The image returned to the blue-green planet. You have 48 hours to respond. After that, we will implement our own solution. The screens went dark, then returned to their normal function, as if nothing had happened. The celebration hall erupted into chaos. Nira slipped away, her mind racing. In her quarters, she accessed the oldest, most restricted historical archives, with clearance codes few knew existed. What she found made her blood run cold. Earth had indeed been targeted for destruction 7 centuries ago, not because of any aggression on their part, but because early Concord analysts had identified something alarming in human psychological profiles. An unmatched capacity for both tremendous compassion and terrifying retribution. The initial Concord species had agreed that humanity represented an unacceptable variable in their plans for galactic harmony. The operation to destroy Earth had been the Concord's first major military action. Official records claimed complete success. Clearly, those records were wrong. Admiral Trell stood on the bridge of the Concord's flagship, the undeniable truth, as it approached the Earth fleet at the head of 300 warships, the largest armada assembled in centuries. They maintained position, Admiral, reported his tactical officer. No defensive posturing, weapons systems appear inactive. Open a channel, Trell ordered. After a moment, a holographic image formed on the bridge, a human figure in a simple dark uniform without adornment or rank insignia. The being appeared unremarkable by most standards. Bipedal, pale-skinned, with short gray hair and eyes that reflected a depth of age at odds with their physically prime appearance. "I am Admiral Trell Crevaneth of the Hylian Concord. You have illegally entered sovereign space and issued threats against our government. Explain yourselves." The human's expression remained neutral. "I am Guardian Celine Rhodes of Earth Vanguard. We have issued no threats, Admiral. Merely stated intentions based on observed behaviors. Your demands are impossible. The Concord represents 3,000 worlds. 1,412 worlds," corrected Rhodes. "The remainder are occupied territories with no true representation. Your own internal documents make this distinction clear." Trell felt a chill. How could they have accessed such information? "What exactly does Earth want?" he asked, mandibles tight with tension. "Justice, restoration, balance." Rhodes' calm was unsettling. "We departed normal space when we recognized what the early Concord truly intended. Rather than fight a war we might not win, we chose to evolve beyond your reach. For 700 years. Impossible." Rhodes smiled slightly. "Time passes differently where we went, Admiral. For us, it has been nearly 10,000 years of development, observation, and preparation. We have transcended many of the limitations you still operate under. If you are so advanced, why not simply destroy us?" Trell challenged. "Because unlike the Concord, we do not believe annihilation is an acceptable political tool," Rhodes replied. "We're offering a chance to correct course, to become the benevolent unifying force you claim to be, rather than the empire you are." Trell felt the weight of 3 centuries of service press down on him. He had always served with honor, always believed in the Concord's mission. But doubts had accumulated over the years, questions about necessity and proportionality, about the true cost of unity. "I will convey your message to the High Council," he said finally. Rhodes nodded. "You have 47 hours remaining, Admiral. I suggest you use them wisely." As the transmission ended, Trell turned to his second-in-command. Analysis of their capabilities. The officer's expression was grim. "Sir, we've been scanning continuously. Their hull composition includes elements not on our periodic table. Energy readings suggest power generation orders of magnitude beyond our most advanced systems. And there's something else. Speak freely." "They're not just sitting there, sir. They're everywhere. Our deep space sensors are detecting identical energy signatures throughout Concord space, near every major world, installation, and fleet concentration. Whatever dimensional technology they possess, they've already deployed it across our territory." Trell stared at the tactical display, where the Earth ships hung in perfect formation, silent and patient. "We never defeated them," he whispered. "They simply stepped aside to let us reveal who we truly are." Part 2. Reckoning of Stars. Panic spread through the Concord's upper echelons like wildfire. On Capital World, the governing council convened an emergency session, their usual decorum abandoned as accusations and recriminations flew across the chamber. "How could our intelligence miss a threat of this magnitude?" demanded Councillor Vex of the Saurian worlds, his scaled hide flushed with anger. Chancellor Mara's bioluminescence pulsed in agitation. "Because they weren't here. These humans have seemingly manipulated spacetime itself, an ability we considered theoretically impossible." "That's hardly comforting," remarked Councillor Tharn, her crystalline form refracting light as she shifted. "The question remains, do we negotiate or fight?" Commander Nira stepped forward, her expression grave. "Fighting is not advisable. Analysis of their demonstrated capabilities suggests technological superiority beyond our comprehension, and they've already infiltrated our territory completely." She activated a holographic display showing thousands of small energy signatures scattered throughout Concord space. These appeared simultaneously with the arrival of their main fleet. "We believe they're automated observation platforms, though they could be weapons." "You mean they're watching us?" "Everywhere. asked a junior counselor. It appears they've been watching us for centuries, Nira replied. The data I've uncovered suggests they've been collecting evidence of Concord activities systematically. They know our secrets, possibly all of them. Chancellor Mera's skin darkened to a deep blue. What exactly do they have? Nira met her gaze directly. Everything, Chancellor. The extinction of the Prath. The biological weapons used against the Ven Collective. The forced sterilization of the Kolar. The fabricated evidence used to justify the Rimworld purges. She paused. And the truth about what really happened to Earth. A heavy silence fell over the chamber. Those were necessary actions for galactic stability, Mera said finally. History is written by the victors, Commander. We've brought peace to. Chancellor Mera rose to her full height. Who are you? Captain Ilyas Shaw, Earth Diplomatic Corps. He smiled slightly. A profession we had to invent recently, I admit. We've been isolated for a very long time. What do you want? Mera asked, her voice tight with controlled fear. Shaw walked calmly to the center of the chamber. To offer perspective, you see us as a threat because you measure all others by your own standards. You assume we want what you want. Power, control, dominance. He gestured, and the room's holographic systems activated without his touching them. Images appeared, worlds burning, species being systematically eliminated, cultures erased, all bearing the Concord's seal of authority. 7 centuries ago, you tried to destroy Earth because your predictive models showed something that frightened you. Humans would never fully submit. We might integrate, cooperate, even ally with you, but we would always question, always challenge, always defend those who couldn't defend themselves. The images shifted to show the vast Earth fleet, not just the ships near Capital World, but thousands more stationed throughout the galaxy. When we detected your attack coming, we had a choice. Our technology was already approaching a breakthrough in dimensional physics. We could have fought then, with uncertain outcome. Instead, we chose to step sideways, into a dimensional fold where time flows differently, where we could evolve, learn, and prepare. Chancellor Mera's composure cracked. And now you've returned for revenge. Shaw shook his head. If revenge were our goal, this conversation wouldn't be happening. No, Chancellor. We've returned because the galaxy needs balance. The Concord began with noble ideals that became corrupted by fear and the lust for control. He walked around the council table, meeting the eyes of each member. We're not here to destroy the Concord, but to transform it. To hold a mirror to what you've become and offer a path to what you could be. And if we refuse, asked Counselor Tharn. Shaw's expression grew solemn. Then we demonstrate why your ancestors were right to fear humanity's potential. In the flagship Undeniable Truth, Admiral Trell reviewed the strategic situation with growing unease. The Earth vessels remained in perfect formation, making no aggressive moves. Yet their very stillness projected more menace than any battle stance. Sir, called his sensor officer, voice tense. We're detecting energy buildups within the Earth fleet. Trell straightened, weapons charging. Uncertain, the signature doesn't match any known weapon profile. Sir, they appear to be manipulating space-time itself. Before Trell could respond, a blinding flash of light engulfed the view screen. When it cleared, the impossible had happened. Half of his fleet had vanished, including several ships directly adjacent to the flagship. Report, he barked. Ships missing, sir. Just gone. No debris, no energy discharge, no distortion field. They're simply not there anymore. Trell's blood ran cold. Survivors. The remaining ships report no damage. We're intact, sir. A communication alert sounded. The human guardian, Rhodes, appeared once more on screen. Admiral Trell, your missing ships and crews are unharmed. We've merely relocated them to a holding dimension. They will be returned once our negotiations conclude. Trell struggled to maintain composure. This is an act of war. Rhodes remained impassive. This is a demonstration of capability. Had we wished to destroy those vessels, they would be debris, not temporarily displaced. We have no desire for conflict, only resolution. The transmission ended, leaving Trell to contemplate the implications. A technology that could selectively phase matter into another dimension rendered conventional defenses meaningless. The Concorde, for all its military might, stood effectively defenseless. He opened a secure channel to Capital World. This is Admiral Trell. I strongly advise the Council to consider the Earth proposals. We cannot win this conflict through conventional means. In a private chamber adjacent to the Council Hall, Captain Shaw met with Commander Nira. Unlike the public confrontation with the Council, this meeting had been requested by Nira herself. "You've accessed our most classified archives," she stated without preamble. "You know the depth of the Concorde's sins." Shaw nodded. "We do." "Then you know many of us had no part in those decisions. Many of us weren't even born when they were made. Guilt is not hereditary, Commander, but responsibility for correction is." Nira studied him intently. "Historical records describe humans as emotional, often irrational beings. You seem evolved beyond that description." A smile touched Shaw's lips. 10,000 years of isolation and purpose will do that. But make no mistake, beneath this calm exterior, the essential human nature remains. We still feel deeply. We still care passionately. We've simply learned to channel those qualities more constructively. And what does humanity want now, truly? Dominance? Revenge? Neither, Shaw replied. We want balance. We want justice for those who were silenced. We want a galaxy where diversity of thought and being is celebrated, not homogenized. He stepped closer. "We've reviewed your personal records, Commander. You've questioned Concorde methods for decades, worked within the system to minimize harm. There are others like you throughout the hierarchy, beings of conscience constrained by structures of power. What are you proposing?" "A transformation. Not destruction of the Concorde, but evolution, with humanity serving not as conquerors, but as guardians against the worst instincts of power. A system of genuine representation, of actual consent, monitored by those who have proven they cannot be corrupted or controlled." Nira's expression revealed her skepticism. "And we should simply trust you. A species that has demonstrated the power to appear anywhere, move fleets at will, and potentially destroy us all." Shaw regarded her thoughtfully. "Trust must be earned. We understand that, which is why we're offering proof of our intentions." He extended his hand, revealing a small device. "This contains the complete technical specifications for our dimensional phase technology. A good faith offering. Power enough to potentially challenge us, if misused." Nira stared at the device. "Why give this to me?" "Because your psychological profile indicates you would never use it for conquest, only for defense and balance. Because you represent what the Concorde was meant to be, before fear corrupted its purpose." After a long moment, she accepted the device. "What happens now?" "Now," Shaw said, "we offer the galaxy a choice." 24 hours later, the Concorde Council reconvened, not in their grand chamber, but aboard the Earth flagship Remembrance. The massive vessel's interior defied conventional understanding of space, its corridors and chambers seemingly larger than the ship's external dimensions should allow. The council members were escorted to a circular room where representatives from dozens of species waited, many from worlds the Concorde had subjugated, others from civilizations believed long extinct. Chancellor Mara entered last, her luminescence dimmed with stress. Captain Shaw and Guardian Rhodes stood at the center of the assembly. "Welcome to the Galactic Restoration Council," Shaw announced. "For the past day, Earth representatives have been meeting with leaders from across known space, sharing truth, examining evidence, exploring possibilities." He gestured to the gathered beings. "These representatives have agreed to a new compact, one based on authentic consent and cooperation, not dominance. The Concorde will be reformed, not destroyed. Its bureaucracy, its infrastructure, Its achievements will be preserved, but its governance will change fundamentally. Chancellor Mera stepped forward. The Concord has maintained peace for centuries. What you propose would unleash chaos. What you call peace, countered a representative of the supposedly extinct Kohler, we call subjugation. True peace cannot exist without justice. Guardian Roads activated a holographic display showing a complex network of connections. This is our proposal, a decentralized union of sovereign worlds, with disputes mediated by neutral parties. Earth will serve as guardian of this system, not ruler, but protector against the rise of new empires. Admiral Trell, who had been observing silently, spoke up, "And if we refuse, then humanity will enforce a different solution," Shaw replied. "One that surgically removes those who cannot accept limitations on their power, while preserving the innocent. We have the capability to be very precise." The implication hung in the air like a blade. "You speak of freedom while threatening force," Mera challenged. Shaw met her gaze steadily. "The paradox of tolerance, Chancellor. To create a truly free galaxy, we cannot tolerate those who would destroy freedom. We offer a path forward with minimal disruption. The alternative would be far more painful for all involved." Hours of debate followed, tensions flaring and subsiding. Throughout it all, the Earth representatives maintained their unsettling calm, answering questions with transparency that disarmed even the most skeptical. Finally, exhausted and outmaneuvered, Chancellor Mera conceded, "It seems we have little choice but to accept your terms." "You always have a choice," Shaw corrected gently. "But some choices carry consequences too severe to contemplate." As the assembly dispersed, Commander Nira approached Shaw. "Your solution seems elegant on the surface, Captain, but history suggests all systems eventually corrupt. What happens when humanity itself is tempted by the power it wields?" Shaw smiled, a genuine expression that reached his eyes. "A fair question. That's why we've integrated safeguards into our own civilization. Distributed authority, continuous ethical evaluation, biological and technological checks against power consolidation." He glanced toward the viewport where Earth vessels could be seen dispersing to their assigned positions throughout the galaxy. "But perhaps the most important safeguard is memory. We remember what it means to be the underdog, to face extinction, to see the face of empire. That memory keeps us humble." He turned back to her. "Besides, Commander, we're counting on beings like you, in every species, on every world, to hold us accountable if we stray from our purpose." "And what is that purpose, truly?" she asked. Shaw's expression grew solemn. "To ensure that no species ever again faces extinction for the crime of being different. To protect the diversity that makes this galaxy worth saving." As she departed, Nira gazed out at the stars, the same stars she had always known, now transformed by humanity's return into something altogether new. Not a territory to be conquered, but a community to be nurtured. Earth had not come as conquerors, but as the conscience of the stars, reminding the galaxy of possibilities long forgotten in the shadow of empire. The real peace had only just begun.